Hello everyone, this is Canadian immigration lawyer Mark Holthe coming to you live once again in another Canadian Immigration Live. This is where you get your chance to get your questions answered. And yes, I am a Canadian immigration lawyer. I am a former immigration officer. And just to throw another thing on top of it, I am a high school teacher. And I use all of those little experiences to create what you're seeing here today, which is the Canadian Immigration Live Q&A. Nowhere that I'm aware of is anyone doing anything quite like this. So stay tuned. If you're interested in getting your Canadian immigration questions answered, we're going to do that in just a little bit. Now, as a Canadian immigration lawyer, yes, I charge for the legal representation that I provide. But there is nothing stopping me from doing everything in my power to answer your questions, the ones that you can't find answers to on the forums, on the WhatsApp groups, on all of those groups that are there allegedly to help you when the individuals that are doing it really do not have a legal background. They're relying upon their own experience and they don't understand the law. And like I did in the last video, I'm only going to do this. I'm only going to do it once because the reality is I think all of you are probably freaked out by this little animation with little babies. So I did that last week. This week, I'm not going to be a little baby. I'm going to stick as Mark here. So welcome everybody. As the people are tuning in, make sure you post below where you are listening from. I love to see where everybody is tuning in from all over the world. And we've got our first few chiming in on YouTube. Anbu, good to see you from Miami. We have Ralph who's saying hello. Let's see, we've got Pinty here. Now, Pinty Pop, where are you tuning in from? So post in the comments below where you're listening from. And she is in Hyderabad. Excellent. That's great. Thank you for joining us. So there's been some interesting things going on. And I think one of the things that's the most important to notify all of you, and this is a little bit loud, I'll back off a bit. One of the things that's the most important that I wanted to share with you guys is that there is movement happening with immigration. And the questions that I get so frequently are, when are they going to start processing outland applications? When are we going to start seeing the applications from outlanders starting to move forward? Well, I can tell you guys that we are now starting to see our first signs of good news. Okay, and one of the first signs of good news, excuse me, is the fact that they are now starting to restrict, and let me just show you right here. So if we go over to the very latest announcement that just happened 2 days ago, this announcement, this is our COVID update. So they've just started now to tell people to start collecting your supporting documents. Okay? So start collecting your supporting documents. What that means, you guys, is that when individuals have been stuck and their applications have been in the queue for a long time, now this is the first indication that immigration is starting to process overseas applications. And there are some restrictions with this. So does this mean that the borders are just magically going to open up? No. Don't believe everyone that tells you. Everybody out there is telling you, oh, this is great, they're going to start moving forward, everything is fine. But I'm telling you to hold your horses. So yes, you have to realize that one of the changes that this makes is that they are no longer right here automatically extending deadlines for submitting the required supporting documents. So in the past, because of COVID, there was a blanket policy that specifically stated that if you are outside of Canada and you have any issues or concerns with getting documents, immigration tells you, don't worry about it. We know it's tough in your country. We know it's hard to get some of the supporting documents. If the biometric offices are closed, if the VACs are closed, we understand that. And so we're going to automatically give you an extra 90 days if you need it. And what is now changed is that that is gone. So no longer is it automatically an extension of the deadline. So, but you can see here, however, IRCC will continue to provide deadline extensions to clients who are still unable to provide required documents due to COVID disruptions. But the key here is that you have to really be able to prove why you personally are unable to get the documents that are required. Now, I want to also point out another thing, and this is something that I stated right in the beginning. Many people will be saying, oh, this is fantastic news. Immigration is opening up. We're going to start seeing applications being approved. Maybe we will. But look at this right here. And I'm just going to adjust my camera for some reason. It's just starting to mess up a little bit here. Okay, but if you look here, you will see foreign nationals whose applications for visitor visas or permanent residence is approved are not eligible to travel to Canada at this time unless they're exempt from the travel restrictions. And I can tell you guys right here that nothing has changed with respect to the travel restrictions. So what does this mean for everyone? To start with, you no longer can just sit back and just accept the fact that immigration is going to allow you to have these automatic extensions of time to provide things. The rule is the extensions are not automatic, but you need to now start collecting all of the documents that are requested. So you go back to the last correspondence you had with them. And if they said you needed to do your biometrics, then you better go ahead and get those biometrics done. If the office is closed, if you can't book it, then you need to notify immigration that you are trying to take steps forward, but the office is still closed. You can't get your biometrics done. If you have other issues with police certificates or other civil status documents, the onus is now on you to prove that you don't have those. Now, realistically, it's not a significant change from what happened before. You still needed to notify them that you were having trouble, but the burden, in other words, your responsibility now to prove that you can't get it is a lot higher. And I want to show you something else here before we jump into the other questions. And this is important for everyone. So you can see here that officers right here, so over the coming months, IRCC officers will contact citizenship, permanent residence, and temporary resident applicants on a case-by-case basis to start requesting the supporting documents, okay? And it says here, or a reasonable explanation of how COVID has disrupted or prevented you from obtaining that information. So they're going to start to contact people on a case-by-case basis. My goodness, that is going to be challenging, okay? So what you need to do, if you still have to provide a document, and this is just what I told you before, check the last email, see what you need to obtain, and start collecting that document right now. Then you'll see here, you'll receive another request in the coming weeks or months, which is not helpful, right, guys? It's not helpful. Weeks or months, what does that mean? Well, that you'll have 30 days from the date you receive the new request to submit the supporting documents. I've already gotten clients that have received this, and it is a challenge because we're going to now have to continue to explain how COVID right here is disrupting our ability to get documents. And it's not open in every country. Every country isn't open. So it says, go ahead, book the appointments, move forward, do everything that you need to do. And then this is the part you guys all need to understand, which is really important. After the 30-day deadline, the officer is going to make a decision. And if they don't receive the documents, they may stop processing your application and consider it abandoned. What does abandoned mean? It means after all this time sitting for years, that they may say, if you don't provide the documents, well, I guess you're not really interested in coming to Canada. So pay attention to your email. Watch your email closely. Or they say, we may make a final decision if we have enough information. Well, what is that decision going to be? Scroll down here and you'll see that one of the decisions that you can see that they could make is your application is refused. Okay. So if you say, I need another extension, they say, okay, we accept it's reasonable. Then we'll give you an additional 30 days. That's fine. But if you request an extension because you can't get the document and they say, no, the biometric offices are open, the visa, the VACs are open, you can get these documents. We know in your country things are opening up, and they don't buy it, then IRCC will make a decision on your application where possible based on whatever they have to that date. And if there's something they feel need updated from you, then it could result right here. You could see in your application getting refused. Oh, and then they'll be so kind enough to inform you of the decision. You don't need to contact us. Give me a break. All right. So if we don't hear from you by the 30-day deadline, once again, could result in your application being refused. So there you go, guys. So this recent announcement 2 days ago is something you all need to pay attention to. So if your medicals are expiring, then maybe you don't even wait. Maybe you go forward and you request an extension. Now, I'll give you a little pro tip, okay? One thing we don't know is when those visas start to be issued, how long they're going to be. And some of you may not have a lot of time to arrange your affairs in order to then, wrap up your place where you live, give notice to your employer that you're ready to move to Canada. Medicals that are in the verge of expiring, if they're still valid, then it's entirely possible immigration could give you a passport request. And when they issue your visa, if you have 1 month left on your medical, and remember, traditionally, permanent resident visas were issued to the expiry date on the immigration medical, which is about a year. So depending upon where you're at, if your medical was still valid, even for a month, we would see PR visas that were only valid for a month. So you had 1 month to travel to Canada as quickly as you could. Well, some of you may not be in that position. So one thing that I am advising some of my clients who are in that position to go ahead and get another medical. Because technically speaking, if your medical is valid and the length, you've got a second one and it's valid for another year, then it may be possible for that PR visa to be issued with an expiry date to the end of that new medical. Now, we don't know if that strategy will actually be effective. We just don't. But it's one way to potentially buy you more time. Now, many people are saying, give me a break, Mark. We don't need any more time. I want to travel now. I've been waiting a year and my COPR's expired, and I understand that. So in your situations, we don't really know how immigration is going to deal with it. Sometimes they're asking people to get new medicals, new police certificates. So I recommend that you do start getting those documents. They're not specifically mentioned in this advisory that I just posted here, but understand that the onus is now on you to prove why you can't get it. And they're only going to give you 30 days. And trust me, they are looking to cull out these huge backlogs. And so I recommend all of you that you get on it if you're in that situation. And the last thing that I want to reemphasize once again is that this notification, although very positive, it means that they're starting to move forward with the overseas offices, does not mean that you can travel. If you are an economic person who does not have a connection to Canada, does not have a family tie that can get through one of those exemptions, then you're not going to be able to travel. So we're still waiting to see. I think we're all hopeful as the vaccine rolls out that things will start to open up. But as it stands right now, you guys, the borders are closed to many of you still. Any travel that is non-optional, non-discretionary is the only travel that's allowed. And what that means is, well, you can't come as a visitor to Canada. All right. Now, if you're in the US, the orders in council are a little bit different, and permanent resident visas are being issued to residents who are living in the US. So if you're going to school or working in the US, or even if you're a green card holder or a US citizen yourself who's looking to immigrate to Canada, the orders in council are a little bit different for you. And as long as you can show that you're not just doing a soft landing and you actually are coming to stay and settle in Canada, then those options are still there. But you need to look at and review the travel restrictions carefully. I'm going to go back here to the main screen again, go back up to the top, and you can see right here where I was showing you. And you can go here, you can read this yourself, okay? Foreign nationals whose applications are approved are not eligible to travel to Canada at this time unless they're exempt from the travel restrictions. And we can click right on here. We can open up the travel restrictions. Who can travel to Canada? this is the main source of information. Okay. If you want to just Google that into your Google browser, it will pull it up. Okay. So that's what I wanted to let you guys know about today. And I'm always trying to give you the most, the latest updates. We saw once again the CRS scores. And I know lots of people have questions about those. Where are we at with the rounds of invitations? And I talk about these things right at the beginning because I know that probably 1/3 of all of you are asking questions about this. So if we go back once again to the rounds of invitations here and we scroll down, you will see that on April the 1st, 2020, there was a CEC draw. That was the last one, okay? 5,432. And as of today, April the 14th, and as I refresh this, as of this moment, this is the most recent round of invitations. So we do not yet have another round of invitations listed for today. So we haven't seen a PNP yet. It may be that as we're talking today that they're going to release another round, but at this stage, this is the last one, April the 1st, okay? So about 2 weeks ago. If you look historically at the rounds of invitations, there's been a history of PNP draws followed immediately by CEC. PNP on Wednesday, CEC on Thursday. And if there's one thing I want you guys to realize as we go through all of this, there is no way of predicting what they're going to do. You can guess, you can prognosticate all you want to prognosticate, but immigration does not follow with 100% certainty an exact pattern. All you can do is go back and look at what they've done and try to guess and assume what's going to happen in the future. But if we flip back once again, people are asking, well, what are the rounds of invitation totals going to look like? We know April the 1st, it was at 432. 2 weeks before that, it was at 449. And before that, we hadn't had a CEC until all the way back to February the 13th with that big massive draw. So if they continue on the pattern of in Canada issuing 5,000 CEC only draws, you can see that the scores are going down. 449, 432. I would have to assume if there was a draw either today or tomorrow for CEC, that those scores are going to be in the 420s. That's my guess. Federal skilled worker draws, you can see the open, no program specified draws. The last one we had was right before Christmas, 468, after a series of 5,000 draws. I can tell you guys that this score right here for the no program specified, when you look at the actual results, so if we go back to who was in the pool, and we look at how many people are above this 451 to 500, 28,000 people. Trust me, those who are open, who are federal skilled worker outlanders, I seriously believe, and you can see here, 481 to 490, 2,326. I seriously believe that the scores when it comes to outlanders and those who are applying through the open draws, if they ever do one again, that the scores are going to be in the very high 470s, if not almost to 480. That's my prediction, at least if they're to choose to do another one. Okay? All right, there is the most latest update. I'm going to get a drink of water here. There's the most latest update on where things are at. I know people are always wondering every week. So let's jump back here and see where everybody's tuning in from. Okay, we've got someone from Saudi Arabia. We've got Jason in Jamaica. Good to see you. We've got Amit, who's in Richmond in the US. Good to see you as always, Amit. Thanks for tuning in. Carolina, it's good to see you. Let's see, who else do we have here? Okay, Ravi says he'd like to join me today. Remember, this little bell right here, well, I guess what I could do is, let me turn up the sound here. The top question of the day will have the ability to join me live on this call, that person and myself, for the person who asks the best question, okay? So That right here is a signal that you could be a potential winner. So we're going to keep track of them, and the person at the very near the end of the live stream today is going to get invited on, if they'd like to join me live to say hello to everybody and to just share where they're at within the express entry process and where they're tuning in from in the world. All right. So we'll see, Ravi. We will see. Okay. We've got Gina in Vancouver. Hello. We've got Gail in Belgium. Welcome back again, Gail. Good to have you. Let's see who else we have here that's tuning in. We've got Preet, who's over in India. Great contingent of people over in India that are tuning in. And we've got a ton of people posting all of their questions again, and we will get to those questions. Okay. All right. I'm looking here to see if there's anyone else. Let's see here. Okay. This Facebook, it says they will be announcing something 1:30 Eastern time. All right, Facebook. We'll see. We'll see if that's the case. Okay. So let's go back and let's answer some questions here. Let's dive right in. Okay. Mohammed says, hello from the other side. It is Ramadan and I'm going to pray. Awesome. Yes, it is indeed. Actually, Abdul, I had the privilege of breaking the fast, celebrating with our Muslim community here in Lethbridge. It was a couple years ago. My church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we came and we joined with the Muslim community here in Lethbridge, and we celebrated we broke the fast, essentially, is what we call it. Every month, one Sunday out of the month, we fast for 24 hours every month. And that's part of our faith, Abdul. And so we connected with the Muslim community here, and they invited us to come join them to break the fast one evening. And it was really, really a great experience. We learned a lot about the Muslim faith and just what Ramadan was all about. So very cool. Thanks for sharing that, Abdul. Okay. Armstrong. Oh, from Armstrong, BC. My BC PNP refused my application due to the wrong knock. If I select the right knock now for express entry, is it a misrepresentation? I'm going to ring this right here, my friend. Gold link. You really need to book a consult. There's so much going on there. I feel terrible. Like this is where it happens. And people don't, I really appreciate you taking the time to post this. Okay. Because so many people think it is so easy. It is not an issue. The PNPs can be just as difficult and just as tough as express entry. And if the PNPs come back and say, no, we don't think your knock code is right, well, that's going to cause problems for all kinds of things. Provincial nominee programs could get things wrong. I guess that's possible. But when it comes to express entry or any of the PNPs, this is your life. A simple little mistake you can see right here of getting the knock code wrong resulted in this individual getting their application refused. And I feel terrible for you. This is something that we focus on in detail amongst all other areas that can be problems in the express entry course. And I think you guys know that the course is launching on Monday. So April the 19th, we have a ton of people that are piling in now. It's going to be an awesome course, but you can click on the link below. It'll take you right here where you can subscribe to the course. Now the course itself is full and you can register for it. The course itself has over 56 individual videos that walk you through everything. And that alone is worth every penny that I'm charging for it. And those people are probably asking, Mark, how much are you charging for it? This course is $347 US. The 56 videos, the tutorials, the templates, everything involved. And all you have to do really is just go back to this main screen, click on my video right here, and I'll walk you through the process and show you inside so you can see what's in there. But those 56 videos that I have walk you through the whole process, and they help you to avoid those problems right here, like getting your knock code wrong. I have specific tools designed to ensure that you have selected the proper knock, as well as checklists for your reference letters, everything. There's a separate section entirely devoted to documents on its own. But with this course, the best part of all, starting Monday, if you were to subscribe today, if you were to register, you'd get access to all the videos right now, and you could see everything. You could start working on your application. But on Monday, the 19th, right here, excuse me, if you can see it, at 5 p.m. Mountain Time for 2 weeks, Monday to Friday, I go live in a private Facebook group devoted to just the people who register for this cohort for the April the 19th. And in those lives, that is your opportunity directly with me, to connect directly with me. We become like a family where you get every single one of those questions answered. And if you go down here and you scroll down to the bottom, you will see all of the, and they're kind of tiny here, but you will see all of the comments from people who have just literally taken the course. So you can see here Abdul, who just posted the comment. He took it right in the middle here, and it's a little bit tiny, and I wonder if I can maybe enlarge it a bit here so you guys can see it better. There we go. That's better. So this is Abdul's comment. He said, this $347 has a great return on investment. And if you think this is too much, count how much you paid a coffee for a month and see how much a scammy agent asks for, then see the value. So that's awesome. Neha says the course was so helpful for us to finally complete our PR application with full confidence. Himansu, kudo to Mark and his team for the concept of masterclass. It's like 1 hour, one-to-one consultation daily for 2 weeks. That is exactly it. That is exactly it. And so you can go through all of this. Shrikar, absolutely worth buying this course. Fernando, it answered my questions even beyond what I had doubts with. Very helpful. Diane is an immigration consultant. She came in. She felt like she wanted to learn a little bit more about express entry. It's completely open for anyone who wants to take it. Diane was awesome. She was great. George, she says the course is worth a lot more than $400. I would have needed to book 10 consults to ask all the questions I had. And yes, George was crazy. He asked so many questions in that group. It was insane. But it was so much fun. And so in that, I recommend you go down there, click on the link, subscribe. Once we hit the maximum, then the cart will close. Also, on the 19th, then it will close. And I don't make the course available just for people to just purchase the videos right now. It's always in conjunction with the master class. And that is why basically it's to give you guys the opportunity to have every one of your questions answered in this private group. So you're not going to find anything like this anywhere. All right, let's keep moving along here. All right, let's see here. We've got Vineet here in Melbourne in Australia. My brother's over in Brisbane. So I love seeing people that are tuning in from Melbourne. Okay, let's see here. We're zipping through. We'll get to some more questions. Okay, Miriam says, how earlier can I take an upfront medical before applying for the visa for study permit? Okay, the biggest thing to consider is that medicals are valid for 1 year. When you're doing an upfront medical, technically, it just needs to be valid at the time in which they are adjudicating your study permit. So you've got quite a bit of time to do it in advance. You know, would I do it 8 months before? Probably not. But a few months before you submit your application is totally fine, Miriam. Okay. Anbu says, is the self-employed FSW a paper-based application, or do I still need the IELTS for self-employed? Okay, you got two questions here. And do I still need? So yes, it is absolutely a paper-based application. And let's take a look here, okay? This is one thing I want to show you guys. So some people ask questions, you know, do I need an IELTS for self-employed? Do I need 8777? You do not need 8777 for the purposes of the self-employed. There is a selection criteria, but the standard is quite low. So you don't need a CLB 9, which is the 8777 for self-employed. All right. Okay, let's keep cruising along here. Carolina says, I know CC doesn't require proof of funds, but I got in the document checklist a proof of funds. What should I include in there? Okay, so this is another thing that is completely answered in the course. All of this is answered in the course, but I'm going to show you something really easy. So we're going to go here, IRCC, EE, proof of funds, CC. Okay, let's see what comes up. It should be the one. There we go. So this help center, I think this is the one I can pull up right here. When you scroll down here, it says you do not have to meet the funds required if you were invited to apply under the Canadian Experience class. And this is one of the things that I love about doing this. those of you, I want to show you guys something else here as I'm going through this. I'm going to pull up my Facebook page. Some of you whose profiles are not visible here when I'm doing these broadcasts, who I can't pull your face up. The reason I can't do it is because you are watching on the Express Entry Law private Facebook group. And so if you see here, as I share this with you, on the Express Entry right here, this course, it's announcing the course, but on the Express Entry Law page right here, which has over 127,000 members, that is crazy. In here, the reason I call it Express Entry Law is because I don't get on here and just start blithering away my own opinion or what my own personal experience was. I always rely back on the information that's contained on the government website. And where there is no specific law, where there isn't a specific provision within the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act or the Immigration and Refugee Protection Regulations or the ministerial instructions for express entry, then what do we have to do? Well, then we have to rely on the policy and the program delivery instructions and the Q&As on the government website. So if the Government Help Center itself poses this question, do I need to include proof of funds for express entry, confirms that you don't need it for CEC, and then gives instructions right here for what you're to do, you can rely on this, okay? So it says the system currently asks all applicants to provide proof of funds documents. If you don't need to provide the proof of funds, you must upload a letter explaining either that you have been invited to apply under the Canadian Experience class or that you have a valid job offer. And as I've talked about in the past, so basically what you're gonna do here, excuse me, and I'm just gonna pull up Carolina's question again. What you're gonna do, Carolina, is you're just gonna upload a letter that says, please note, I've been drawn under the Canadian Experience class and I don't need to provide settlement funds. That's what you're gonna include in that spot, okay? But yeah, everything, all of these tips, all of the strategies, all of the questions, like Carolina, this question, I would have done the exact same thing in the course for anything. But you guys know, as far as completing the express entry, there is so much involved than just small little questions. There are some things that are really, really specific, like a question maybe if Carolina says, I have a work permit and I think I have a job offer. I have an LMIA from the employer, but it doesn't seem to match my work permit. Mark, can I claim this as a job offer? Sometimes I get those types of detailed questions. Then I ring the bell, and that is basically the signal. That's the signal that you need to book a consult. Why? Because I need to understand all the facts. And so often online, you get people, and okay, I can't help myself. Sometimes you get people who actually, well, what do? They just answer a question that's asked without providing any foundation for it. And when you do that, you don't know where they're getting this information. And if they're relying on their own experience to tell you, don't trust them. Okay, simple as that. All right, let's keep zipping through here. All right, let's see who's next. Okay, Shane says, good afternoon from Toronto. What's my prediction? Yeah, I gave my prediction. Okay, if my spouse is joining me, does her IELTS matter for my application? Mustafa, 20 of your points are going to be attributed to your wife if she's joining you. And that means if she doesn't write the test, you're going to be 20 points lower at the most, maximum of 20 points lower than you would otherwise. Okay, Preet's from India. We said hello to that. Okay, Gina says, if you forgot to include your Canadian visa stamp in the passport document, would they reject your application? Gina, it's probably unlikely that they would reject it. But what I recommend you do is, if you haven't put in all of those marked or stamped pages, then send it through the IRCC web form and just update your file. That's what I would do. I've got a scratchy throat this morning. Okay, let's see what else we have going on here. Next question is from Justin. He says, hey, one of my friends is applying for an LMIA through a consultant, promising a caretaker job in Canada. Any way by which I can inform IRCC and expose them to save my friend? Okay, I'm assuming that this is a sketch. This is sketch. Okay, you know what? It's been a long time since I've tried to look at this. If the consultant is a fake consultant, okay, let's see. Immigration tip. line of Canada. Let's see if this will take us there. I think this is where you're going to go. Okay, this is not the one. This is an old one. Let's try this one. Okay, so this is the link here. So if you Google how to report fraud or abuse, and this is the Government of Canada, this is where it tells you and shows you where you can do it. So there's the toll-free number you can call. You can see a person who has given false information. That's one of the things that, you know, suspicious activity at the border. It doesn't matter what it is. The tip line's private. Your identity stays protected. You can see citizenship fraud if you're inside Canada. If you're outside Canada, there's this email that you can use. So that, oh my goodness, I'm not even sharing my screen. I hate it when I do that. Okay, I found it here. So how to report fraud or abuse. That's what I was trying to share. And sometimes I forget that I haven't shared my screen. This is where you go, how to report fraud or abuse. And then down here, you can see there's a toll-free number that you can call. This is for the Canada Border Service Agency to report immigration fraud. A person who's given false information, that is, you know, but it also includes people that are scamming, okay? How do I report citizenship fraud? If you're in Canada, like I said, here's the tip. And same thing, if you're outside Canada, contact your nearest visa office. That's another option there, or send an email to the tip line, okay? And that's pretty much it. So that's where I recommend that you go. Great question. No one has asked that one before. You know what, Justin? I'm gonna do that. No one has asked that question before. You are in the running, Justin, to potentially join me here in about 20 minutes live. I'm gonna make a note myself so I can remember that it was Justin here. See, if you want to join me, you don't have to. It's not mandatory, but if you want to, you can definitely say hello. So I will let you know, and I'll post the link for you to do that in just a little bit. Okay, and we'll see. Maybe someone will come in with a better question than Justin. All right. Okay, so Shoaib says, good afternoon. If we have 2 NOCB job experiences, add up to 1 year, and there's a gap between the 2, employment of 4 months, do we qualify for CEC stream? Okay, so it says here, if we have 2 NOCB jobs and experience in up to 1 year, and there's a gap between the 2 of 4 months, no. The gap, if in 1 year you have a gap of 4 months, well, that's only 8 months. You're not going to have enough. You have to have 12 total months of actual work. They don't have to be continuous for the CEC, but if you've got a 4-month gap, then yeah, you can't claim them. Now, if collectively with the 2 jobs, you have more than a year, you know, if you have 1 year, including the 4-month gap, so you have 4 months plus another year of work experience between the 2 jobs, that's fine. All right. Okay, Sumit, let's see what he's got here. Good to see you. Is IRCC not processing FSW AOR at all, or just updating it due to the travel restrictions? I've done everything they asked. Scenario was March 2020. I know, my friend. Sumit, I think I talked with about this at length. And at this stage, it looks like they are going to start moving forward on a case-by-case basis. They're going to start to notify people. So hang in there, Sumit. Boy, you guys, I feel for you guys. Okay. Kaushik says, hey, you look great. Thanks for all the great work you have been doing and keeping everyone informed timely. You are very welcome, Kaushik. Thank you so much. All right. Jaron says, how are you? Alberta PNP not inviting people from outside Canada. Is there any chance? What about NOC 1212? Yeah, they're right now not inviting people outside of Alberta. That's just kind of how it is. And the reason is they feel that they have enough people inside Canada to fill the spots, at least inside Alberta, that are foreign workers looking to transition to PR. So if you're looking for a province to get a job in, or if you're someone looking to study, come study in Alberta. I'll be honest, there are some limitations. You have to get a job in the field that you've studied in, but options in Alberta, whether you're low skill or high skill, equal opportunity for our province. Okay, Sarah, good to see you. Hello. Okay. All right, let's see what Steele says. Documents, biometrics, remedicals are in. FSW AOR February 2020. I've become a Jedi in waiting, but still have to master frustration. I know. I hear you. I hear you. It is so hard. I really, really feel for you guys. Okay, so Frank, when you're adding your son, they don't know when to open my file to add my son. That one, my friend, I'm going to have to give you a little ring, and I recommend you book a consult, because adding a child and how to do it, this is like, they don't know when to open my file to add my son. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. There shouldn't be any issues with moving forward with adding him, especially if you've had a child. So there's probably more at play here. Okay, let's see what we've got here. Okay, I'll pull it up here, Kaushik, for you. You're in a situation that many people are in. It can take up to 9 months or longer for a permanent resident application to be processed. So June 2020, 6 months or so, March, April, you're right in that range. So in Canada, 9-10 months is at the stage where it's taking to process. So work permit expire in August, apply for your bridge, apply for it. If you are on a postgrad, excuse me, if you're on a postgrad, Kaushik, then if you're eligible, I would recommend that you consider applying under the pilot program if you're eligible, because that 18-month extension that you're going to get under your postgrad, if you're working on a postgrad, is actually better than relying on a bridging work permit that's tied to your PR. Let's say you made a mistake. Let's say it gets refused. Then your work permit gets refused, and then you're basically hosed. If you have a postgrad work permit, it's the best advice is to apply under the pilot, because then you're going to get another 18 months regardless of what's happening with your PR application. But I'm not sure if that applies in your situation. Okay, lots of people are doing this. I had a consult with a client just yesterday who I'd done a review. And many of you probably don't know kind of how my law firm functions. But when you go to my website right here, here's the website. Obviously, we're pushing the heck out of this course, because I'll tell you guys, for those of you who are looking for the best bang for your buck, this is it. Because the course itself is so comprehensive, just like all of those people explained in the previous, earlier in the live session here, all those past subscribers. Like, the course is awesome. But on top of it, even on top of all those other materials, people in the past would book a consult and pay another $300 to see me. Well, another $310 or $315, I guess is what it really is. But for $347 US, you get all of the course, and you get 10 sessions of me answering questions, and you get the benefit of hearing what other people are asking. And that's where the power is in this. And so I strongly encourage you guys, if anyone, no matter what stage you're at, obviously if you've already filed your EAPR, then it's not going to help very much. But no matter where you're at, if you're thinking about it, it's for you. If you are not sure if you're eligible, the course is for you. If you have got your profile in the pool, no ITA yet, the course is for you. If you have your ITA, if you're one of those Feb 13ers, Draw 176, or anyone that's in the process of filing after getting your ITA, the course is absolutely for you. It will answer all of your questions, and the ones that aren't answered, well, I take care of them in those. And you have access to all of this for life. I want to repeat, everything for life. And it's just the masterclass that goes over a 2-week period. So that'll be starting on Monday. So get in there and subscribe. But within here, you'll see on the website, yes, you can book a consult. We have our little chat bot here that also answers the most common questions we've added to our site now. And then if you look to our approach right here, one of the things that I love to do more than anything, and I was up bright and early this morning doing another one of these, we do not represent people in the way that most firms do. We want our clients to have control of their own application. And we want them to only pay for the service that they actually need, which is our brains, our intelligence. We don't want you to have to pay us to fill out a form that you're going to fill out, you're going to have to fill out anyways. And so with this collaborative review model, you can go here and you can see how the process works. But essentially, and you can watch the video, but effectively, you maintain control. We use Zoom. We don't collect your password for your login. We work on this application together. We share the mouse screen. We share the mouse control. You click on it. You enter in your own information. We go in and review your whole EAPR together. and we make sure that everything is correct, and we upload all of the documents together with you. But before we even get to that review, myself or one of my other lawyers in our firm, we work directly with you, answering questions, getting your reference letters sorted out, reviewing everything for you to make sure it's correct. The reason it works is because our clients are willing to do their part, which is to follow the detailed course, follow the guides, do everything, put it together. Then any questions they have, they ask us. And in effect, our clients actually are almost like a paralegal. And so therefore, I don't have to charge my clients the same thing that I would charge if I had to employ someone in my office to do all of the transcription, making those mistakes that inevitably happen. Instead, I work directly with the clients in this collaborative process right here. And like I said, you can go to holthelaw.com, watch the video where I explain it. And essentially, this is how we represent people. Once it's ready and submitted, the representation comes to an end and you carry on forward. And that's how it works. And we absolutely love that process. We love it. Okay, so let's hear. Okay, so Marcus, back to this question here. So I had a consult with one of these past collaborative review clients, and she's in the same boat as everybody else wanting to come. So federal skilled worker outside Canada, can we enroll in a 1-month English course just to get into the country, then request IRCC to finalize our application by informing them we're already in Canada? There is nothing out there saying that you cannot do that. Okay, there's nothing. There's no immigration law or otherwise saying that you can't do that and make that request. However, remember that the travel restrictions are still in place. Enrolling in a 1-month English course, you still have to satisfy immigration that you are traveling for a non-optional, non-discretionary purpose. And arguably, I would be very, very surprised if someone was able to get a temporary resident visa, because a study permit for a 1-month course is probably not even gonna, they're not even gonna approve that. To get a visitor visa to come to study for 1 month at this time during the pandemic when everything is crazy. So Marcus, there's no law preventing someone from doing it. And I'm sure if people can find their way, travel to the US, then come into Canada to visit family or whatever, one of those other travel restrictions, it may be possible to get into Canada. And at that stage, if you're already here, it may be possible to send a web form update, say, hey, I'm in Canada, I'd like my application processed in Canada, and actually have it go through. That may be possible if you can get there. But there are so many hurdles with the travel restrictions that I think are going to stop people from getting here, aside from whether or not immigration will actually process it. If you're in Canada, then ultimately it will be processed from within Canada because, well, generally speaking, you're going to make that request. I've never heard of them saying, no, we're not going to, you have to go home. But it is possible if you're just in Canada as a visitor, that immigration may choose not to do that. So they have discretion. All right. So there's the answer there. All right. Let's see here. We're doing good. We've got about 9 minutes left. And lots of people are asking about, can I travel? And then, yeah, and this is the same thing, Ma, the same thing, Andrea, that I described here. Your question really relates to the one that I just answered here for Marcus. Your questions are very, very similar. So if I still have a valid entry visa and I receive a valid job offer from a Canadian employer, is it possible for me to apply for a travel authorization like a work permit holder since I have a valid reason for travel? All of this, when it comes to these, I'm going to specific questions like this, Andrea, I recommend that you book a consult so that we can look at this in detail because there are so many factors at play. Okay. Why does IRCC ask for a Schedule A even if there was no gap on the EAPR? Well, because they've seen something in there that isn't consistent. Maybe they have also seen something in the answers that you gave with respect to your background history. Sometimes, this is another pro tip, so listen carefully, you guys. When IRCC asks for anything, like a Schedule A or whatever it might be, especially the Schedule A, they are fishing. They are looking for something. Maybe they feel you have not properly answered one of the questions. Maybe they feel you have forgotten to notify them about a previous visa refusal they're aware of. And this is maybe an opportunity for you to correct things. If you perpetuate and put something different, it can also be seen as misrepresentation if what you're putting in your Schedule A doesn't match up with what you put in your EAPR. And lots of people run into problems because they don't make a copy of their EAPR before they submit it. And once it's submitted, then you can't go back, and there's no mechanism to go back and actually look at the previous EAPR. Well, there are some ways that I talk about in my course that I teach people how to deal with that problem of the profile, the EAPR, not allowing you to go back. I do have some strategies and techniques for doing it. But the advice is to always keep a copy of it, because when you submit the background declaration form later, you want to make sure everything is correct. But it's not just about mismatches or gaps. It's also about what you put in the statutory information section. And did you fail to include something that you should have? And are they now looking to see if twice you haven't divulged it, so they can then find misrepresentation and refuse your application? So that's what it's about. And that puppy is super cute. Okay. Okay, Sarah says, a few weeks ago I mentioned that I remember, Sarah, that you forgot to upload your passport, and so you upload your work permit instead. You didn't get an acknowledgement of receipt, but I got a letter requesting biometrics and that I passed the medicals in my profile. Does this mean that I passed the R10 stage and that they are processing the application? I really hope so. So understand that when you get a biometric request and medicals passed, usually that's a good sign. But I never ever count on anything. The reality is there is anything can happen. So you've done your due diligence. If you're at this stage, they haven't refused, you've uploaded the new passport, then you've done what you need to do. And there's a very, very good chance that you've saved your application, Sarah. That's the power of making sure that everything are correct. Sometimes you don't notice it, right? And you're lucky that you did notice it, because it could have ultimately resulted in a refusal. All right, so now I'm going to reach out once again to Justin here. Justin, we're kind of wrapping up. We're at the end of our process here. So I'm going to click on this link right here, and you can kind of see it. All right. So this link right here, Justin, I want you to type it into your URL, and if Justin joins before the end, then we'll bring him in for asking the best question, which was about how to report fraud when you know there's scammers out there. And that was a great question. So Justin, if you click on, and let's see if we can find Justin so that we know who Justin is. I got to go back. We answered so many questions today. Here's Justin. Okay. So even though for a friend, Justin, if you want to join me, you can come on and you can say hello and you can say where you're at. If you'd like to join, you're welcome to do that. If not, you don't have to do that. It's totally open and up to you. Okay, so we'll wait for Justin to join. Justin, I'll leave this up here. I'll just leave it right up there where you can see it. And if you'd like to join, just log in. And I have my interview on now. So I'm just waiting for him to connect in. If Justin, you want to join me, by all means, you're free to do that. Otherwise, I'll have to invite other guests like these little boys so that they can come and talk too. Oh my goodness, that is just crazy. That is crazy. Okay, let's see here. So maybe we'll get to one more question here. And I know there's a ton of you that have asked questions, a ton. And the reality is I try to get through as many as I can, but I know there's a lot of people that just were not able to do it. But remember, always, if I flip over here my screen, you can always go back to our site right here and click on book a consultation right on the main screen, which then takes you here, and you can choose your own time. For me, a 25-minute consultation is $315. For Alicia and Susan, it is $210. I have an interview with another lawyer today, and we'll see how that plays out, but I'm going through a bunch of interviews to add other lawyers to the team. And so we will see if we may just have a few more lawyers added into the mix. All right. So I'm not sure if Justin is going to join us. That's totally fine, Justin, if you're not comfortable doing that. But that opportunity was yours to lose. So we're just about wrapping up. Couple more minutes. Let's get to one more question, and then we'll wrap it up here. Okay, let's see. Yeah, and lots of people are asking about travel restrictions being lifted. Okay, let's see if I can find one that's going to be good for everybody. Looks like Justin. Oh, well, I don't know if Justin, it says persona on here. So I don't know if that's Justin. So post a comment below, Justin, if that is you, because it's not open for anyone to come in, just Justin. He's the only one. So Justin, if that's you, then post a comment saying, yep, the persona you see is me. Okay. So if it's not, then we will not let the person in. See here. Wow, there are so many questions to choose from. Let's see. Yeah, lots of people asking about when they're going to open up, which I answered at the beginning. Let's see here. Okay, we'll finish off with this one with IFTech. Okay, so this is the last question of the day. Looks like Justin isn't going to join us. So hey Mark, when do I need to start putting money in for proof of funds in my bank account? If I receive an ITA in June 2021, can I deposit the money in one transaction? Do I have to start accruing the money from now? Well, IFTech, it comes down to where that money is coming from. So if it's a gift deed from family, well, it doesn't really make a big difference. The funds need to be in there before you submit your EAPR. Ultimately, when you completed your profile, though, remember, you are indicating how much funds you have to support yourself. So, although the profile is not an application per se, you do need to be, have funds available if you're saying that you had them available when you submitted your proof of fund, submitted your profile. Because remember, there's still attestations at that level. You're still saying that everything you put in there is true and correct. So for most people, I advise them to have the funds in there for, up to 6 months. Is it a requirement? No, it is not mandatory. But if you've got the funds sitting in your bank account and the average balance that the bank provides on the letter that you're supposed to get from the bank shows that your proof of funds have been in there for 6 months, great. If it shows that you've incrementally increased those proof of funds through your own employment and your savings, that's even better. Like, immigration loves to see that that's how it's worked and that's how it's played out. And then they know that the funds are yours. It's when you get these big dumps of funds in, then they wonder whether or not it's a loan from someone. And I've always said, you guys, from an immigration perspective, family give money, friends loan money. And the further distant that family relationship, the more immigration is going to question whether or not it's legitimate. Okay, so looks like Justin isn't going to join us today. I don't see him confirming. We've got someone else hoping to connect in. Let's just flip back here. So the ability to join is purely for Justin. So his question garnered him the ability to come join me live, but he unfortunately is not. It doesn't look like he's available or interested in tuning in. He may not have a camera or anything and not ready. It's quite spontaneous, isn't it, guys? And that's totally fine. Okay, so we are at the tail end. I'm just going to turn on a little bit of music here as we wrap things up. Remember, everybody, remember that on right here, if I go back to this screen right here, the course is launching. And in fact, the people that have subscribed to it already have access to the full course. I'm super excited to have everybody join me to do these live, cohorts, these live sessions in a private Facebook group just for the people that register. It starts April the 19th on Monday. So the cart is closing. You need to act quick to get in. And you're going to be saying the exact same things that all of these people and so many more have said about the course. And whether you are an individual, whether you are an immigration consultant, wherever you are, if you're looking for just a little bit of a leg up and you're trying to figure out the best way to avoid all of those most common mistakes, that's how you do it. All right, guys. So thank you so much for joining me today. It was another great live Q&A. Stay safe, everyone. Mark Holthe, Canadian immigration lawyer, ex-immigration officer, and former high school teacher, saying so long, and we'll see you next week. Take care.